John Lennon had that wonderful song, Imagine. Imagine we didn't have just a song, but a vision for the world we wanted to achieve. Imagine people in all different countries shared that vision and didn't just share that vision, but together worked to make it a reality. Imagine. Imagine what we could do together. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky, John Lennon sang. Imagine we understood our words were only words and not what exists at the unspeakable event level. Imagine we saw reality as an ever-changing process, and every moment in that reality an absolutely unique event. Imagine no one ever said again, "This is this," because two things that are processes are never identical in every respect to anything else or even to itself at a different point in time. Imagine all the people living for today, sang John Lennon. Imagine a world where everyone lived in the moment, a world where people the world over hallowed the everyday, a world where nothing conceptual interfered, no categorizing, no labeling. All speech within ceased as we addressed everything in this present moment as utterly unique as thou. Imagine a world where our attention was transfixed on what each other said, where there was real listening and real speaking, where we appreciated the newness of every moment, the unrepeatable, making our response impossible to prepare beforehand. Imagine a world without seeming, where we were open and transparent, where we didn't live out our images of who we thought we were, who we learned in other relationships we were, but had the courage to be authentic, allowing our uniqueness to be seen, not treating ourselves like objects, but like activities, processes. Imagine a world with no doctrines, no rules, no dogmas, just this constant going out to meet what was different from us. Imagine a world of meeting, of ongoing dialogue. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too, sang John Lennon. Imagine a world where instead of saying, "I'm a citizen of the United States," we said, "I'm a human being in the family of persons." Imagine a world dedicated to meeting the needs of living things. Imagine a world that conceived of people as activities where we helped to create environments where people could unfold their potentials, where we nurtured a love of life by arranging conditions to maximize the growth of the individual. Imagine a world in which people play a part in planning their work. Imagine a world in which we encourage people to listen to the stirrings of their own heart. Imagine a world in which we encourage people to think for themselves. Imagine a world in which we encourage people to think about what they valued and to live by their values. Imagine a world in which we encourage people to be free, to do what genuinely interests them, a world where people felt a surging sense of vitality as they did what they loved. Imagine a world where our actions come from the essence of who we are, and everyone in the world actualized their individuality. Imagine a world where meaning came from the very act of living, doing what genuinely interests us, saying what we genuinely feel and think. Imagine that in living with integrity, the whole world was then able to confirm others for who they really were too, and the whole world started living on the basis of equality. Imagine a world where the purpose of life was unfolding our essential powers, and that made people at one with themselves, at one with nature, and with their fellow man. Imagine all the people living life in peace, sang John Lennon. Imagine a world in which every country had a Department of Peace that dedicated itself to peace studies, understanding how to create peace between people, between countries. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us, and the world will be one, sang John Lennon. Imagine a world without competitiveness. Imagine a world based on cooperation. Imagine a world where the world saw itself as one. Imagine a world where people had a sense of unity inside themselves, had a sense of unity with nature, had a sense of unity with other people. Imagine a spontaneous world with a spontaneous people, where people realized it is the process that is important and not the result, that real happiness is derived from inner directed activity in the moment. Erich Fromm put it, if the individual realizes himself by spontaneous activity and thus relates himself to the world, he ceases to be an isolated atom. He and the world become part of one structuralized whole. He has his rightful place, and thereby his doubt concerning himself and the meaning of his life disappears. Feelings of inferiority and powerlessness come from a lack in the person's life of being able to act spontaneously and to genuinely express what he feels and thinks. For Fromm, the cultivation of a person's uniqueness was the highest achievement of human culture. Imagine no possession. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man, sang John Lennon. Imagine a world that was not obsessed with buying and selling. Imagine a world where the highest value lay in the power to be. Imagine a world where meaningful, interesting work was valued over high income and prestige, where spiritual values were seen as more important than material values, where freedom and independence were valued more than exploitative control, where there was decentralization and self-management to the greatest extent possible, where in our institutions the top priority was the fullest development of human powers. Imagine all the people sharing all the world, sang John Lennon. Imagine a world where all the people in it achieved their potential, lived out their individuality, where the thinking of the world's people came from their own mental activity rather than regurgitating thoughts they've heard, where the feelings of all the people of the world were the result of their own spontaneous evaluation of situations, not feelings they learned were appropriate to the situation, where everyone in the world met each other in equality instead of through domination and submission, where every person in the world had developed his own powers, could stand alone and accept the risk and doubt that is an inevitable part of life, but chose his or her own life, escaping from the anxiety of life, never escaping from the anxiety of life by surrendering his or her freedom or through compulsive conforming. Imagine a world that understood the price of security is too dear if it comes at the expense of your integrity. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you will join us and the world will live as one. The world can live as one.